All right, Kevin, back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with, and Michael, I should have verified. I didn't even ask you how you pronounce your last name, so I'm going to hope I get it right. Is it Michael Waldroup? Is that how you
Yes.
pronounce it?
Yeah,
Okay, I
exactly.
got it right. I got it right. So,
Awesome.
great to have you on the show today, Michael.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet, you bet. I'm going to start by giving just a shout out to Taylor because Taylor Cole, she's on your guys' team. I didn't know that until I started talking. I just thought she was your PR gal and stuff, and but
Yeah.
she's actually on your guys' team.
Yeah.
And I don't know her personally, but she reached out to me about a year and a half ago, and she told me about this guy. Chris Vaughn was his name, and she goes, I think he'd be a really great guest for your podcast. And she sent me a little bit of information on him. And I looked at it and I said, man, I'd be totally willing to have a conversation with him and get to know him. And we had that conversation. And she was right. He was a great guest on the podcast. And I didn't hear from her again till just recently when she reaches out to tell me about you guys, you and your partner Matt, or you and your partner, yeah, Matthew. And and I was like, well, you know what, Taylor? I had such a good experience at your recommendation last time around. I'm all in. Let's try this again. And I know I've already interviewed Matt for the podcast, and that was a great experience. And I know this is going to be because I'm just gonna throw something out here because I know I mentioned it to you before we hit the record button. But Michael here, not only is he an entrepreneur? Well, for one, Mike, how many businesses have you launched and exited? Because you've done a few.
Yes. So this is my fifth business, and I've had four successful exits.
Okay. While also being a full-time police officer.
Yes. That is
so
100% correct.
so I'm going to tell you, man, that hats off to you because that is like so doggone impressive. And
Thank you.
like you said, it's all about time management, Kev.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Trying to kind of figure out when you can sleep and when family time and when to work. It's all part of it.
yeah, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and I'll just start off with a real simple, easy question to start. What are you doing now, and who do you guys serve right now, Michael?
Yeah, so right now, start with the law enforcement side. I've been on for 18 and a half years for the Dallas Police Department. And as I continue to work towards my retirement, I am the co-founder, co-CEO of Grocery Deals, grocery comparison app. And then also I do have an event company called Big City Farm. We mainly do weddings and events. I'm able to manage all three and be 100% there for all three. I'm seeing growth. In my professional career as a police officer, but also professional career as an entrepreneur as well, in all shapes, forms, and fashions.
Wow, wow. So what inspires you most about the work you do and the impact that you get to have, Michael?
So, um, it really, with with law enforcement, I was 23 when I hired on,
Okay.
and I was very young, and everybody writes a paper that says why you want to be a police officer. And so what everybody puts on the paper is you want to help people, right? And as you go on your journey as an officer, there are times where you do help people. You do feel that that you did something good and that their lives were going to be affected very positively because you had to insert yourself into their life. There are a lot of times where you feel like you're not helping individuals, right? And so, where the entrepreneur side just kind of came in is I like to build something that's going to make somebody either like enjoy their time, and also to, I don't know, just kind of see something and visualize a product, because I owned a barbecue restaurant and I had two of them, and they were open for 9 years and they're very successful. And my vision on a menu was I want people to come here and I want them to eat this food because I've visualized what it looks like and I think it's good for me, it's good for them. And then when it happens, it's such a great feeling. And and it's just the continuation of wanting to do something good for individuals. And that's something really small, but it's such a it's such a pleasure to be able to be a visionary and see that vision carried out in such a positive way and then actually to make money off it. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And so like my event company, Big City Farm, I it's a complete opposite of police work. Like it's happy. It's happy. Everybody's happy for the day. I mean, even the interactions that I have with planners and photographers and the clients, it's all happy and this is fantastic. Police work is not always like that. We know that, and so I told myself, I always told myself, I'm not just an officer. I want to see what else I can do. And that's what's always driven me to be an entrepreneur, and I am a doer. So I start thinking about things and I'm like, oh, I think this would be a great idea. But I actually put pen to the paper. I put money out there. I make the investment. I take the risk. And so but with Big City Farm, I really, enjoyed that dynamic of really happy, coming from police work. Sometimes that, maybe it was a rough day to go into a wedding that was the best day of their life. So it was really wonderful. And then where grocery deals came along was it actually was part of a different project. It ended up being a personal assistant. It my vision was for a personal assistant app.
Okay.
And at the time, a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, that technology didn't exist. Well, I mean, what's is crazy is now it does exist. Like it's for what I wanted the personal assistant app to do, like everything. However, one of the parts of the personal assistant app was grocery comparison. I thought to myself, this saves people time, this saves people money, and it was just kind of it was at that time where all of a sudden groceries, everything was just really starting to get expensive, and it was a big hype. So I just kind of went down a road, a rabbit hole of researching it. Couldn't find anything that was even close to it, or I saw a couple companies that had tried to do it. It didn't work proficiently enough. And so then I've known my business partner Matt for 20 plus years, and he came from the travel industry, from hotels.com, and I knew that. I knew where Matt worked. So after I contacted the developer, kind of got the ball rolling, I brought in Matt and I said, "Hey, I got this idea. I'm not a tech individual. However, I learned extremely fast. Obviously, like I'm a serial entrepreneur. I learn very fast. I surround myself with way smarter people than me, so
Yeah.
I can rise to the education level that I need in order to learn the business.
Yeah.
And that's honestly my I don't have any bad habits when it comes to that, and I think that's really a great place to be at. So I contacted him, and we just started. We just started the process from scratch, and it's seemingly we have gotten. Kevin, this is one of the coolest things ever, and of all the companies that I've had the pleasure of creating, it is something like we always say it's like landing a man on the moon, because people have tried this, failed, and now you can, when we saw our app come alive, compare groceries and get them delivered to my door, that started from the app that I had a vision 2.5 years ago, and I saw the products delivered to my door. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I interviewed Matt for the podcast already, and he told the story of you reaching out to him, and him going, "There's no way that this hasn't already been created. This has already got to have been done." And you're like, "No, it hasn't." And Matt's like, "He was right, Kev. Nobody done this yet."
Yeah, yeah. It's absolutely, we could not believe. And as we went, as we still continued in the journey, I thought to myself, certainly we're going to find something,
Yeah.
and then so, and we've struggled with developers. I will tell you, where we're at right now wouldn't be possible with the development company that we do have of you, and because we're in our fourth development company.
Okay.
Not everybody can do this. And I mean, we have grown with every single one, and we've gotten something from every single one. But ultimately, the one we landed on now, they're extremely professional, but they also are they're highly intelligent and they just know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that that actually everybody wants to sometimes do things cheap, and you can't do it. There's not
Mhm.
gonna you can't do cheap and get a great product a lot of
Yeah.
times. It's not gonna
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So it took you 3 tries to find the one that was just a perfect fit for you guys, huh? And now
Yeah.
you got it. It's interesting because uh, Matt, I found out I might be in a position because I found you guys are doing a capital raise and stuff. And I
Yes.
was like, oh, I said, I know. Well, and then not only, so Matt told me not, how much you're raising, but like you've already raised over half of it, and I
Yes.
was like, I said, I might know some people. And so he's like, well, let me share our deck with you. And so he did that. And I was looking through that. And part of that on the deck is your timeline. And I was like really impressed just looking at the timeline of how this started in 2023 and just what's happened along the way and stuff. It's pretty dang cool to look at your guys' progression. And
Yes.
you guys are
It's
getting some
really
traction, man.
what's really, me not coming from the tech industry, I don't really know how fast things take sometimes, and I am impatient. Like straight up, like if
Well,
I
that's
say
a mark of an entrepreneur, man.
yeah, we struggle with that because I'm like, I see this, I need it done like tomorrow. I
Yeah,
want it done before I even came to me,
yeah,
So
yeah,
and 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 notably, like we've had professionals say, look at what we've created and go, wow, this is done really fast. So I'm really proud of ourselves for
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, when I saw the timeline, I was like, dang, they're getting some traction, man.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
I think it's definitely it's hyper speed
yeah.
compared to what other companies have tried.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, okay. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit, and I want to move on. I'm going to start talking about the relationships. I want to start having that conversation. So, have you ever been introduced, Michael, to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your
Yeah,
story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
yeah. There is one individual, and when I was 18 years old, I was new in the Dallas area, and I needed a job. So my sister got me set up as a bartender, just bartending on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I used to work at the Federal Reserve Bank here in Dallas, just
Okay.
kind of, part time. And so, but my, I guess, quote unquote, full time would be bartending and going to college. And there was a gentleman there. His name's Frankie Carabetta. When he allowed me to work at his bar when he really didn't need me to, and it was a very popular bar nightclub. And so over the years, as I worked my way up to weekends, when I was 21 years old, I think he saw that I was kind of beyond my years and I was more knowledgeable than even some adults much older than me, and honestly just a lot more professional and grown up. And he made me his bar manager when I was
Wow.
21 years old,
Wow.
not far after I turned 21. So putting me in a leadership position at 21 years old when everybody else is much older than me and has a lot of more experience than me was rough for me. Nobody wanted to listen to me, and of course, I would go back to him and we would communicate. And then I started running two of his bars. And then so two night, and these are very busy places in uptown Dallas, and one was in Addison. And so as I developed those leadership skills early on. I was put in a position. I had to make decisions, that big boy decisions, that only big adults, could make. And I was doing that at 21, 22 years old. So as I was doing that for a few years, um, then I joined the police department. And over the years, I equate that to, actually, he told me the Dallas Police Department was was hiring. And then he goes, "There's some DEA agents you should meet." And so I met them, and I thought it was really cool. And the next thing you know, I'm applying for the Dallas Police Department. So I give him all the credit for that. So as I joined the police department, and then I started my entrepreneurial, or my businesses. I would always ask him. I would always have somebody. What do I do with this? How do I do this? How do I get CEOs? How do I get this? And he was always there to help me, and including this app that we have, all the way from the barbecue restaurants, the tiny hot dog cart that I own, to my everything. He made fun of me whenever I had Big City Farm, because it's like it's a very unique niche event company. To this, he's always driven me to say, I hope you become rich, and get out and keep doing this and keep doing this. And I always had somebody to fall back on, to just ask questions. And a lot of people don't. And did I learn from his mistakes? Of course I did. And that's part of it. Like, he made mistakes, but I learned from that. But I also learned from his wins as well, and everything in between. So Frankie Carabetta definitely pushed me to be the entrepreneur and the police officer that I became.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I want to dig just a little bit deeper into this. So what's an example of a situation where you personally, Micheal, got to make a really substantial impact, maybe even in the moment, maybe it even surprised you a little bit, but yet you also know that that would have never been possible if not for the relationship that you had with Frankie.
So, when, so, going back to being an officer, we, really just driving me to be a police officer.
Mhm.
And I say, when I was like 5 years on, I went to a very poor apartment complex on a call. And as we came out, we, we noticed there was a whole bunch of kids coming out of an apartment, and they were all brothers and sisters. And come to find out that they weren't going to have a Christmas, and this was around Christmas time. So my partner and I, we took the one of the daughters to Walmart, and we bought them food and Christmas for all 11 kids. And we made a massive impact on that family, like, so much so that we did it 2 years in a row. And one of the kids was going to A&M, and that she told us that every Christmas they talked about that Christmas that we basically, like, my partner and I saved. And if I would have never been an officer, if I would have never been introduced to the DEA agents, if I would have never been, hey, the police department's hiring, go find a job, I would have never done that from that family.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just one story, but I've I've got more. But that is significant to a family like that. And and that daughter that went to A&M, she graduated, and about 3 years ago I saw, and she's doing well for herself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, for anybody who might be listening to this thinking, man, Kevin, I really like Micheal. I like who he is. I like how he shows up. And man, I'm curious to get to know more about what they're doing and stuff. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks?
Yeah, so they can email me at michael.waldroup at grocerydeals with the z.com. You can always Google grocery deals, and on the website it has my direct email. It actually has my phone number. I welcome phone calls as well. And yes, if you want to know more, or you want to know what we're doing with grocery deals, or anything like that, I'm open.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Is there any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap, Micheal?
Um, Honestly, just for the struggling entrepreneurs out there, especially thinking that they either can't do something or they're trying to figure out if they should do something, um, get in there and do it.
Yeah.
Get in there and do it. Mess up, learn along the way. Do not be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you probably don't need anybody else working with you. Hire people that are smarter than you, but get in there and know that, there's got to be a struggle, but the end game of all your hard work is worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today and just share with us. I really appreciate it, Michael, and I really appreciate you. And I'm like stoked to get this out there and share it
Awesome.
with folks. So thanks so much, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.